Welcome back to positionspecific.com and Coaching Journey 1. As you can see, we're building up for our second game against Manchester United. So another big week for the team. You know, young players always want to be playing and pushing themselves against big clubs. It's good for us as well to see how they've progressed and how we've progressed. Before we go into the game plan for the Man United game, we're going to have a little talk about what the Wigan game looked like, the pros and cons and some performance problems. And then we'll run through the 3 sessions leading into the game, and then finish off with the Man United game plan. So looking at the Wigan game, we didn't have any footage on them, so we didn't know how they was going to set up. So we decided just to work out of our traditional 4-3-3, moving into a 3-4-3 or into a 2-3-2-3, depending on the personnel that we have on the pitch. So looking at the team identity and targets, our main target here is to impose our identity on the opposition. As you can see here, we clearly did that. So looking at defensive transition, 81% of the time, we regain the ball back within 3 passes. So very, very good. Moving down to defensive organisation, 88% of the time, we won the ball back in the top 2/3. And what I would say is we won the ball back a lot in the defensive transition, and most of our defensive organisation was the opposition either having a throw-in free kick or a goal kick, because we were so dominant in the transition. What I do want to make clear, and I've said this to people before, if we high press a team and they go long into our defensive third and we retain possession, that is a success for us. Yes, they have got into our defensive third, but they haven't got first contact on the ball or secured the ball. So for us, that's us being successful. So if you can paint the picture in your mind, we set up the press, they go to, let's say, the left centre-back, we high press, we panic them, they go long, and then we sweep up possession. Although we've swept it up in our defensive third, we're still seeing that as a success. So looking at the attacking transition, so we found that second pass completion, 84% of the time. And then looking at the attacking organisation, 48% of the time, we got into their final third. And I was looking at some of the stats, and we in one period of the game, we actually got into their 18-yard box 27 times. So as you can imagine, you know, it was quite a dominant performance. What I would say is, though, the result was closer than you think. You know, we got done on 2 set plays, but as you can see here, it's not just all about this. It's about also having a little bit of luck as well at times. But for us, we make it clear to the players that if we play like this and we hit all our targets, we've got a real good opportunity of winning the game while imposing our identity. But we were happy with this. You know, it was a cracking game and we dominated the majority of it. So looking at the performance review, so systems of play. So obviously we set up in a 4-3-3 and they was in a 4-4-2 diamond. So straight away we put this as a performance problem. So as you can see here, this is what it was set up as. So we obviously had the +2 on a defensive line, the -1 in midfield, and then the -1 obviously at the top, and then everything else was 1v1 duels. So anybody obviously who understands tactics or works with tactics know that these 2 systems really hurt each other in possession. So give you an example, I'll just flick on. So if you're looking at us, for example here, if we can get control of the game, which we did, and we can start to switch the play down the sides and get the 2v1s, it can cause real problems for a diamond. What you're asking of their midfield is to get across all 5 channels as quick as possible. And this can be really physically demanding for their midfield. On the flip side, if you're looking at the transition, it could really hurt us as well. Because if you're looking at this, if they leave the 2 forwards on and don't drop them in, then when the ball is turned over, they can go forward quickly, which then can cause us problems as well. Also, going against us is whenever there's a transition in this midfield area, they've got the +1. And it's really tough when you're giving a +1 in midfield and you're losing majority of the transitions, then you'll find yourself on the back foot more. But for us, what we did showcase is we're really good at finding the mark and changing the mark in midfield. So actually, we dominated this midfield with 3. And it was credit to the boys really, because we didn't give them any shifting patterns. They were just really, really on it with finding the mark and changing the mark. And I know we do it in training quite a bit within the little drills or the games at the end. But credit to the players because they were very, very good at that. What we wanted to say about the formation is we'd recognised it in the first 5 minutes or so. We decided to just leave it and just see how the players adapted and if we could deal with the transition, which we did really well. We also wanted to leave our 2 centre halves in 1v1 duels, because anybody who's following the journey will understand we've had problems with direct play. So we wanted to stretch the centre backs and see if they took on board some of the work that we'd done with them. And they did. They dealt with the 2 forwards really well. What I would say is Wigan did break on one, got a corner from it and scored. When I'm talking first chance, it was their first chance on goal, and it must have been 23, 24 minutes into the game. So one thing that we said to the players was maybe just think about the swing. So as you can see here, is just to create the 3v2 on the defensive line. So left back joins in the attack, and then we come round. If the ball goes down this side, full back joins in, left back comes round. So just like a little swing on that defensive line. What we said was just keep an eye out on the triggers. So let's see if the fullback plays into the midfield and gets on a half turn, that would be a trigger for you then to get out. Or it might be a centre-back receives the ball with an open touch, looking to switch. Can you get yourself out and can you come in? And that was just one little bit of information that we wanted to give them. We were still aware that this might cause us problems, but the boys were still doing really well. Now, if this was a cup game or we're talking senior football, again, anybody who's been watching the journey will understand that we will change our system to make sure that we can get control of the game in the transition and hold possession. So this was something that we would traditionally move to straight away, but we didn't do it till late on in the game. So I think we played the last 30 minutes with this system. So we went to the 3v2, 3 matched up against the diamond, and then the 10 in here, and then the front 3. So what we said is get control of the 2 forwards. In possession, can the side of the 3 here, so the 8 and the 3 here, go into positions where they can open up space? So they might go into a wide position, they might push on, they might drop deep, and just try to drag this diamond into areas that they don't want to go. What we said to the 10 was, and we actually put a forward in here, someone who was forward thinking, just to go and find pockets of space, go and run off the back of them. One of the key things that we looked at as well was if their fullbacks are locking onto our wingers rather than just defending zonally, can they drop deeper? And then we'll have deep runners into these areas here. So the 8, 9, and 10. So give me an example. If the 2's got the ball and stepping in, he opens up the space, and then the 8 can make the run, the 10 can make the run, and the 9 can make the run. And when I said to you earlier about when we had a moment in the game where we had 27 entries into the box, a lot of it was through this. Then what happened is they got the fullbacks to stay deep, and we just give it to the feet of our 1v1 specialists, and they could either cross it or beat them. So we had a spell of the game where we were literally just playing around the 18-yard box. But overall, it was, when looking at the systems, we love stuff like this because it's challenging for the players and it's good for them to come up against different systems and learn different ways of dealing what they've got, but also us working out ways how we can break them down. So attacking organisation, we dominated the ball and territory. So as you can see here, we got them pinned back, and then we was just looking for ways to sort of find our way through. And then with this system here, Wigan didn't have a as good opportunity to break on us. So defensive organisation. When we was in the 4-3-3 at the start of the game, this is what it looked like. So we set the scene. All we said to the 7 was just start higher and try to force the keeper to clip it in, because knowing that they had that extra body in midfield. So we bumped on the midfield, and then we just went 3 for 3 here, just trying to force that ball into there. Now, anybody, again, who's been watching the journey, usually we get the 7 to drop off and allow them to have that ball. What we wanted to do is get them to go long and then get the fullback to jump. Worked really, really well. When we changed the system to a 3-3-1-3, this is what it looked like. So just back to the normal press. So we asked the 7 to drop off. And then as they go and change the mark, cut out that ball and force the ball inside. And that's where we were looking at, can we win the ball in here on first contact? If the ball gets shifted out to the free player, then that's where we change the mark. I'm pretty sure that'll be familiar with people who've been watching this journey so far. So there wasn't really too much more to run through with this game. The systems of play was sort of the big difference, and was what we'd call a performance problem. But to be fair, that the boys did really well, and like I said before, that they found the mark and changed the mark really well. And we caused a lot of problems with our shape. And said it before, you can be a dominant team in 4-3-3 and dominate a diamond, or you could be a good team in a diamond and dominate a 4-3-3. They're them sort of systems where there's a lot of space in the transition. So if you win it, you can always hurt the opposition. When we did change it, we were obviously a little bit more controlled, and it was a little bit easier for the boys to find the mark rather than changing the mark. Main point was where there was changing the mark was obviously from a dead ball situation when their keeper had it. But again, overall, performance-wise, really happy with it. Bit disappointed we conceded a couple of set plays, but that's something that's at the bottom of our list, really, when we're talking about player development at this age. So looking at week 11 then, so session 1, we're going to look at breaking lines and finishing the attack. 4v4 possession game, moving into a 7v6 phase of play. We're going to look at some personal possession and a little bit of transition work. 4v4 possession game again, and then we're going to look at some 1v1 transition play. And then on session 3, we're going to look at building the attack. Start off with a 3v1 rondo, just some simple technical work around quick supporting angles and receiving skills. And then we're going to actually look at an 8v4 building the attack practice, which we felt would help us against Man United. And then we're going to have a look at the game plan and see the differences from last time we played them and for this game. So looking at session 1, breaking lines, finishing the attack. So down the left-hand side, you've got all the practice details. The performance wheel that we're looking at is scan, move, receive, release. So we're looking at that individual player. It's a match day +2 session, 20-minute duration. Practice load is high because it's intense in this area. And then you've got the area size being a small, and then the numbers that we're working with. So the team in possession, looking for you to just full rotation so you can move around, get on the ball, use the thirds. The team out of possession, they must get into a 1-2-1 shape as fast as possible. Once they got into that, they're locked into that till they win the ball. If Reds win the ball, get it out to a goalkeeper, they can have a full rotation, and then the Whites are locked into a 1-2-1. So as you can see here, the White can drop in here and create a 2v1 overload. So you've always got options to play forward. The red can't go on full press, but what they can try to do is screen and stop that forward pass, or if they dribble in, then they can tackle them. But you're just working on that connection work now, finding pockets of space to see if they can get on the half turn to go forward. If they get it across from the keeper to the opposite keeper, they get themselves a point. Now, what we said to the team was, because we didn't want them to keep working both ways and wanted to try keep them switched on this transition, we had whites going this way. Once the white got it into the keeper, they became the defending team. So the reds instantly came an in-possession team. So we had that little element of transition of how quick they can get their shape in and out of possession. So you can see here now the reds are in possession trying to work it that way. Full rotation. And then playing. We progress this drill by saying the in-possession team must keep all 3 areas filled. Still rotate, but they must keep all areas filled. So if the 4 dropped into here, the 5 must recognise that and come into there. So now you're starting to work on the connection work. And then for the last game, we give them like a free range so they could go anywhere. Still trying to keep them concepts of stretching the play and using the zones, but we allow them to go anywhere. And right at the end, what we said was whenever there was a pass into the middle, they can't go backwards. They must turn and go forward. And we just did that to challenge the players because they were doing really well and they were moving the ball from one side to the other, really cleanly with not many mistakes. We just decided to challenge them. So when the ball goes into this middle area, they can't go back. Now they can set the ball in around here backwards, but what we're saying is can they find a way to go forward? And it was just to challenge the players. We didn't have that planned in this practice, but we just dropped it in there. So moving on to finishing the attack, 7v8. So the reason why that we cut the pitch off was just purely for numbers. So as you can see here, we've got our right back in this position here. We've got our number 4. We've got our 2 attacking midfielders and 9 and 7. And then the opposite team, you've got your left back, 2 centre backs, 2 midfielders, left winger and 10. And this was just because of the numbers. And we're working on finishing the attack. So we played for 5 minutes in here on this side. And then we moved the line so it was on the other side. So our right back here went and became a right back for the Reds. The left back for them came and being a left back for us, if that makes sense. So we're working down both sides, but purely focusing on finishing the attack. So when I go back to the Wigan game, we was really, really good in around these areas, but the end product wasn't good enough. We should have scored a lot more goals. So this is why we put on finishing the attack and started to work on little combination plays, getting the ball into the box, and then keeping them pinned in. If Reds won it at any time, they could just go and score a goal. But as you could see there, just one of the little movements, move it into the 7, little half space run, and then attacking the box. If Reds win it, they look to score, just like a normal game. So we're not stopping the game all the time. We're just giving the team little ideas around playing through, around, or over. And when you're looking at the performance wheel here, we're looking at the team shape, we're looking at the support, behind, beside, and below, looking at the speed of play, and then supply, the detail of supply. Always focused on going through, around, or over. So session 2, personal possession, transition work. So you've got the practice detail here. So you can have a little look through that if you want to pause the video. Scan, move, receive, release. So again, we're looking at that individual stuff. And then you're looking at match day +4, 20 minutes, medium practice load, a small area, and then what we're going to eventually work with. So the first part of the practice is the red team and white team have a ball each. And they have 2 players in this half and 2 players in this half, which you can clearly see. All they're going to do is unopposed practice. The whites will pass the ball around, looking for opportunities to play to a teammate in the opposite side of the pitch. Same with the reds. Reds will move the ball around, looking for opportunities to find a teammate on the opposite side of the pitch. The free players, so the yellow and green here, they work with a team who are in possession. So there's actually 5 players to play with. So if I just play this now. So if we just focus on the whites, so they're just looking to keep possession of the ball, looking for opportunities to play forward into the 8 and 10. Same with the reds. Just circulating the ball round. Really concentrating on the scanning skills, the movements. So just like little subtle movements. The receiving skills, open body, and then the releasing skills around the pass detail. Try to encourage the players to do this at high speed once the technique's there and the players are working through the performance wheel well. So turn this into a little possession game. So looking with a progression. So here, this can be a goalkeeper now. So they're playing out to the 2 players here, trying to build the ball, get it into the 8 and 10 and look to scoring the goals. Obviously, you've got the 3 players as well. If you really wanted to be position specific, this could be a 2 centre-backs, that could be a number 4, and that could be your attacking 2 midfielders, and then also your keeper behind the ball. So again, you work in this process, scan, move, receive, release. Get into that final third, the 4 can go and join in and create a 3v2. If the ball goes out of play or the whites miss the chance to score, then this flips, the reds will drop into here and then they'll look to build and play. So moving on to the next part. So looking at the transition into out. So anybody who does follow the journey will understand that we're massive on the defensive transition. You know, so this is one of the drills that we like to do quite a bit with the players, and the players love it because they get a chance to shoot and they get loads of goals and 1v1 duels. So what will happen here is the 2 players will pass the ball from side to side. The 10 will work opposite movements, and you can work different types of movements with a 10. It might be underneath to then go beyond, but just work the movements as long as they're working opposite to the ball. When they see an opportunity, they'll play forward. The 10 then breaks. And we usually say to them if they can score within 3 seconds. And once they've had the shot, then one of the players or one of the reds will come out with a ball and attack the goal. And then you're looking at that reaction. So getting your shot off and then reacting quickly. Again, just watching the game. So passing the ball. Opportunities for different types of movements, went beyond. And then you're looking at that player to break out 1v1. You can then progress it so it works into the player can go and score in both goals. That could be a 2v1. You can turn it into a 2v2. So just looking at building the attack now. So we started off with a real simple rondo practice. Really, really simple. So our first part was just passing the ball. So on the touch, working anti-clockwise, support to the nearest cone. Pass detail to the back foot. Try to play within 2 seconds. So as the ball goes there, we're looking for the nearest player to receive, move to the nearest cone, nearest cone, nearest cone. What we don't want the player to do is just stand there. So we're saying, can you start in the middle, move to the nearest cone? So try to arrive at the same time as the ball. Start in the middle, as the 3 takes a touch, then start to move towards a cone. After 2 or 3 rounds, then work the opposite way. If you've got more than 4 players, just start the practice here with a couple in a queue and then they'll just pass and follow. So if the 2 passes into 3, he then takes his place. But making sure that that player doesn't stand on the cone, they always start in the middle. It's really, really important that in this drill that they're always working side to side, always supporting quickly, so you can get a real good look at the footwork. So now you can play any direction, but still keeping that condition in there that whoever receives the ball, the players at the side, so left and right, must support to nearest cone. So if the 2 plays straight to the 4, 3 and 5 must support to nearest cone. So as you can see here, ball goes across, support nearest cone, ball goes in, nearest cone. Now this gets the players thinking. So you're having a look at the footwork, the receiving and releasing skills in here. And then eventually just turn it into a 3v1 rondo, trying to support left and right. So as you can see there, moving to the left and right, good supporting angles. If the ball goes into the 3, unless the 5 can see a direct pass, then slide onto the spare side. And this is usually like a stage 1 rondo game for us, because like I say, you can go after your detail in here. And anybody who does play rondo and understands rondo, it's really, really important that the players, move the feet quickly, execute good passes over short distances, and they're aware of what's going on. So really, really good drill. So just looking at this practice here, this was just designed around to try and give us a few ideas of how Man United pressed against us. So we put our goalkeeper in this area. We had our 2 centre-backs, the first area. Then we had our number 4 and 8 and 10. And then we just left the 11 and 7 in this area. I know it's a big overload, but this was just to give us an idea of how to get through Man United's press. And we just designed this a couple of days before to just help us with building. So what we could do is we use the white so they can use the 18-yard box. How Man United was pressing against us last time was with the 9 and 10. So the 9 would be in there, then the 10 would press, 9 would drop in. So what we said to these 2 is just to try press as a 2, covering that pass into the 4. 4 and 8 lock onto our 8 and 10. What we were trying to do is try to find the way into the 4. So that could have been through the keeper we've just seen, or it can be with the centre-backs. Once we go into there, then we're looking for them to travel with the ball and try to create a 3v2. Scoring a goal, come back, and then we play again. So as you can see here. Now, I was a little bit creative here as well, because what we said is if they can play the pass into the 8 and 10, if it goes into 8 and 10, they can use the 4. So that was another way that we could progress into this next section. So we can go direct into the 4, or we can use a link pass. Second part is we've got our 4 to drop into this area here to create that 4v2. And then we worked on going into a 1-on-1 in midfield. These 2 still locked in there, so it is difficult for the Reds. And they have to work really hard on stopping the ball going through there. But for us, it's just simply working through some patterns and a little structure to try help us out for the game. As you can see here, once we break in, and this is where the 11 and 7 can come in. So if the red player goes and jumps, the 11 can come in on this side to create that space and get on the ball and maybe score. If he stays, then you're looking at that pass into the 10. So just different movements. As you can see, the 8's come in and the 7's dropped in. And for us, yes, it favours our players playing with an 8, but really good practice to just bring out what we wanted. really focusing on our centre-backs and our number 4, and then what the connection looked like between our attacking midfielders and the 7-11. And the players did really, really well with this. And then after this, we moved into a practice 3 and just let the players play for 10, 15 minutes because they'd worked really hard on this and took quite a bit of information in. So looking at the game plan for Man United, so we're going to set out in our traditional 4-3-3 system, as we're sure that Man U will play in their 4-2-3-1 shape. So looking at the team identity and targets, we haven't moved these. They're staying the same for a couple of weeks now. We're working off 75% plus targets in 3 areas, and then 35% final third entries in the attacking organisation. So looking at the attacking organisation, again, if no one's actually seen this, this is just bits of our game plan that we show to the players, and we just vary each week on which bits that we put into the video. The reason why it goes to the black screen is because this is what we show the players, or parts of what we'll show the players. So looking at the attacking organisation, so we're looking at the 3 connections in 3 to 5 seconds. So there's the 3 connections, which people will be familiar with. But we just wanted to show you that. And we constantly keep relaying this to the team and keep going over it all the time. And we obviously, part of the game plan, we put the team out as well at the start. So when the players see the team and then they start to look at the connections, they already know who's going to be part of their connection in the attacking organisation. Our main focus, obviously, is to get into the final third. We're trying to do that 35% of the time of when we're in possession of the ball. So just looking at some of the stuff that we worked on at the last session. So building the attack 1. So first of all, can we just get out in a 4v2? So our fullback's high, our 2 cams high, and then obviously the 3 forwards just trying to pin their back line in. So if we can get out just purely in a 4v2, we'll do that. So if we can get out in less numbers, then we're happy. The second structure is our defensive midfielder to drop in and create that 3. So if you go back to the session that we're working on, we're just trying to flatten out their 2 forwards, and then we're going to go 1-on-1 in midfield. If we can get out just down the sides of the centre backs, or we can go into the midfielder drops in, brilliant. What you might find is one of the midfielders might bump on from Man United, which then gives us an option for our fullback to slide in, or for our wide 7 to go and get yourself in that space. Usually we'd get our wide forward to go into them areas because we try to play with our 1v1 specialists there. So they're comfortable at receiving the ball, even if the fullback follows them. And that's your scenario there. So what we're saying here is this gives us a clear opportunity to get into the attacking third with 1 pass. So if the fullback goes inside with our left forward, then we'll just go straight into our fullback. Even if their wide forward goes with our fullback, we should have the run on them. If their fullback stays, then we're looking to play into the left forward and get on the turn. So we're just throwing in our attacking corners in here. This is part of our attacking organisation. So we're just looking at a little short one here. Fullback detaches, and then they can either play in a reverse pass to the right forward, or we're looking to cross the ball. 4 things that we clearly talk about: quick setup, what's the trigger, first contact and second contact. Same thing on the opposite side. So try to keep it simple. So you're looking at a quick setup, looking at a little short, sharp 1-2, play there for the fullback, and then the fullback can either play the right forward in who'll go across the goal line, or we're looking at first time delivery, and the fullback drops back in to make sure that we've got secure numbers at the back. So looking at defensive organisation, we're not going to change this. We've decided as a coaching team that we'll work more from the inside press when we start to get more midweek games in. At the moment, like we've not played nowhere near as many games that we'd want to. That's no one's fault. It's just there's a pandemic going on. So we don't want to confuse the players too much, especially when they've been successful at something. But after Christmas, we have spoke about maybe trying to play 2 games a week where we can start to look at different systems and start to look at like the inside press and different ways of sort of maybe dropping off and drawing them onto us, maybe counter-attacking, or different ways to press in different systems. But for this game today, just the same setup. So we'll force onto the left back. We'll look to press and look to win that ball on the inside of the pitch. So can we win the ball in here? If they do play it in, it's going to be a link pass. That's a trigger for the fullback to go. Also, it could be that our midfielder changes a mark and the wide forward comes in and the centre forward comes across. And again, I think anybody who's been watching the journey will be familiar with that. So defensive corners, 4 key things that we want. Quick setup again. First contact, second contact, and then get out. And we're looking at that clean contact when we're clearing the ball. But when we get out, we all go out together. Now, what we usually do with a player is we might just get one of the players to be a main trigger. So it could be a keeper. It could be one of the players in here who is the one who's the one player who pushes everybody up and is the last man. What we do is equal numbers. So if it's just one corner taker, our wide forward will do it, and then we'll have one player on the front post. If there's 2, one will come off the front post and get ready to go. If there's 3, the centre forward will drop in, but it's rare that you see 3. But it's just so that the players are locked on. We go to a man-to-man system at the moment. We actually like half and half zonal, half man-to-man. But for us at the moment, this is like bottom of our list of development. They still need to start to understand what tactics look like on set plays because it's part of the development, but it's not something that we're too concerned about right now. What we say to the players is just win your personal duel and then work off the 4 things to the right. So get set up quickly. Can we get first contact? That could be a fist, so it could be the keeper coming and like getting a punch on it, or it could be a catch. Can we block runners when we're in here? Can we get a header or a clearance? And then if you're not that first player who's anywhere near first contact, are you ready to react and win the seconds? Can you anticipate what's going to happen? And then if we do get the ball out, get out quickly. Just keep it really simple for the players. Same thing on the other side. And then looking at the defensive free kicks, we just wanted to drop it in here because we wanted to show you what it looked like for us. 4-man wall, that's usually on the keeper. More central areas close to the 18-yard box. We drop in the players' names here. This isn't how we usually do it. We don't usually have the centre forward and defensive midfield in here, but as you could see, we just drop in their names. What we do is player 1 is the first in the wall here and always the first in there. Player 2 is always, them 2 will be the start of every wall. So we'll nominate 2 players who will be the 2 players on the wall, especially if there's 2 over the ball. And the players get this the day before the game, so they can start to look at it and start to understand what's required from the game. So again, just 4 points. So number 1 is get on the ball quickly. So nearest player might just stand over the ball, stop them from playing. Then you're looking at first contact, second contact, and then get out again. So the message doesn't change, it's just clear. So that was it for the game plan. Like I say, we only picked 2 or 3 bits out of the plan just to show you. If it is something that if you want to see more stuff, or there's something that we haven't shown yet, just leave your messages below, and we're happy to throw in whatever you want to see. Just a reminder of the books that we've got out right now. You've got the Centre Forward, the Poacher, and Connecting Coaches, which are free. So if you haven't yet downloaded them, make sure you get onto positionspecific.com. The other two books, we've got the Centre Midfielder books, the Out of Possession, In Possession. These have got a little bit more in the books compared to the free books, and download them. We've had some great feedback, and it's just been fascinating listening to people from all over the world, sort of reading them and giving us their feedback. You know, I think one of the highlights, and I've mentioned it in a couple of videos, is that even players now are reading the books and taking things from it and saying that it's helping their game. Also, if you leave a comment below with hashtag coaching journey, we'll stick you in the weekly draw, where if you win that, we will send you all the books straight out, including the 2 defensive midfielder books. So coming next week, so week 12, so we'll do a review of the Man United game. Now, obviously, we're in front. What I can say, it was a cracking game, and there was a couple of things which we were really good at and some things that we need to work on. So that'll be a really good review. Then we're going to look at some out of possession stuff, in possession stuff, and then we'll look at high intensity practice. So we're thinking about linking week 12 and week 13 together just into one video. Unless you want us to maybe have 15-20 minutes talking about something. So it might be some systems, it might be some scenarios, it might be anything, whatever you want to, or you want us to share, then just throw it in your comments or send us a message on one of the social media platforms. If we think it's worthwhile, then we'll stick it in instead of combining both weeks together. But we'll leave that up to you. You know, we just want to just keep sharing ideas. Just want to say thank you again for everybody. I know there was a bit of a delay between the videos, and some people was asking where we was. It's great that people are actually asking where the videos are. I hope you do understand that we are full-time coaches, and you know we've all got normal lives, and trying to fit this in is quite difficult. But we'll keep doing it because we know that the audience is enjoying it, and like I say, when we get great feedback, you know, it just spurs us on. So please don't forget to subscribe if you already haven't. Make sure you press that like button. Thank you again. See you next week.